If you ever hear a whistle in your walls at 2:33 a.m., don't look for the source. Don't acknowledge it, and whatever you do, don't let it find you, because once it does, you'll never whistle again.
Hi, hello, I'm Denisha,
Hello, I'm Ashley.
and we're just here.
Yeah.
We found some Reddit stories.
This will be a
Little bit
second
of
episode of
spooky.
Reddit Stories.
Yeah, second episode, a little bit of spooky, a little bit of real encounters, just kind of having some fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, now we have headphones,
We do.
so hopefully no more audio issues occur.
Also, grab your beverage. We have our Think coffee this morning. We're deciding to try the
Lucky.
I should remember that. It's literally Lucky Charms. It's pretty good. It's a toasted marshmallow latte with, what was it? The shortbread cold foam.
Shortbread
and then
cold
Lucky Charms on
foam.
top.
Lucky Charms on top. Let me just look at their Instagram to make sure I say it right. Yeah, toasted marshmallow latte, shortbread cold foam, and Lucky Charms cereal topping.
So good.
Pretty nice. I like it.
Nice. It's not as good as our Hotel California. That's our OG, but this is a nice little spring mix it up drink. Okay.
So I'm going to skip my very first one because I want to read that one later, since I have a personal kind of obsession with this story already. Like,
The first one?
yeah.
Oh.
So the very, very first one I'm going to read is a very short one called The Dead Man.
Oh, God.
And when I tell you this is short, I mean it is short.
Okay.
A few years ago, I was walking through the woods off the beaten track a bit, and I smelled this really overwhelming, powerful, sweet smell. Being nosy, I pulled back the undergrowth to have a look, and I found a dead body.
Oh.
The guy had clearly been there a while and wasn't looking all that great. He was swollen, green and black, with various runny bits. The local wildlife had also been dining well for a few days.
Oh, God. I just registered what that meant.
Yeah.
Ew.
I called the police, who told me to wait with the body until they arrived. Being in the middle of nowhere, it took a while for them to come to the place, and it got dark, and I was just sat there in the dark with him for a long time. It turns out he had committed suicide.
Oh.
For a long time afterwards, I had dreams about him, and he would talk to me, not nice things, mainly about how he was angry that I had disturbed his resting place, and he wanted me to kill myself. Probably just my imagination, but it was all pretty disturbing at the time. He still turns up in my dreams from time to time, and no doubt will be turning up in my dreams after typing this. And so I found this one with I think I searched like real scary encounters or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so it was a Reddit thread where somebody was asking for like, what's your craziest story?
Oh, Jesus.
And this person was in there. And then somebody asked, like, a dead body smells sweet. And
that's what I was thinking when you first said that. I was like,
well,
wait.
So a lot of the comments were saying that it smells rotting, and you like it's a sickly sweet smell, like overly sweet and pungent. And they said it's one of those that you won't mistake, and it's hard to believe because it's literally a rotting corpse, but it smells sweet.
So like that's a thing.
Yeah, and it's hard to combine the two because you're like,
I bet that's a smell that you literally cannot comprehend it until you've smelled it.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever smell that because I mean, like, obviously, like dead animals and stuff like
Yeah.
that. You could like roadside stuff.
Well,
but,
somebody
like,
somebody said it was sickly sweet, but like rotting lamb.
Rotting lamb. I've never eaten lamb, so I have no idea. I wouldn't know what lamb.
I had it as a child and I didn't like it. That's all I know. Parents got into a big fight about that.
Ew.
So that's my very first story. Very short.
Yeah.
Figured we could start off with a little bit of a creepy bang there.
There's so much
to unpack.
to imagine about that story, though.
Yeah,
because you're just like it gives you a little bit, but it's just like
so many unanswered questions.
Yeah.
And like, first of all,
I need that person to write more on that.
Yeah, and they never they had commented to explain the smell, but beyond that, there was not much else.
Oh.
And I'm just like,
if I was somebody calling that in and the police were just like, I need you to stay with the body until I get there. I'm like, can't you just like GPS track where my put like a pin where my phone's at so I can like dip and you can just come. But well, I guess it's a yeah.
And then also him showing up in his dreams and being mad at him for him disrupting the resting place.
It's like, bro, I didn't even touch you. I just came across you.
Like, it's not my fault.
Hiding yourself.
Yeah. It's not my fault you decided to be right here where I decided to walk.
Not my problem, sir. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and read one called The Mushroom Tunnels.
I'm so excited for this one.
You know, I like it. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but it's still pretty good, and it is a real place. I looked it up. However, it's not like open to the public anymore, and there's some information on it.
All of the good places are no longer open to the public.
I know. I don't necessarily think this was open to the public at the time either. I think they just went out there just to like investigate.
Gotcha.
But there's definitely some photos that I found, and we can pop them in so that way people can see what it looks like. It's actually pretty interesting. And this is in Australia. Says, my girlfriend and I decided to visit what was known as the most haunted town in Australia. Since we only lived an hour away, we thought it'd be perfect opportunity to check out the infamous mushroom tunnels, one of the biggest paranormal hotspots in the area. I need us to go to Australia so we can visit the mushroom tunnels.
I want to go to Australia anyway.
So,
except for everything there is trying to kill you.
Honestly, even the mushroom tunnels, apparently. We arrived around 11 p.m. and had to sneak through a bend in the fence to get in. There were 3 trails ahead of us, and we had no idea which one led to the tunnels, so we just took the first one. Right away, I felt uneasy, way more than I expected. I had been wanting to visit this place for months, and now that I was finally here, I should have been excited. But instead, there was this overwhelming eeriness, a kind I had never felt before.
That's another reason.
Your gut.
Yeah, I was going to say that's another reason that you need to listen to your gut.
You know when something's wrong. Before coming, I had been reading my girlfriend some stories about the tunnels. People had been reported seeing shadow figures, strange lights, and even satanic cults performing rituals. So as we walked the first trail, I was already on edge, feeling like something could jump out at any second. And yet, despite it being a 99% full moon, we still couldn't see a thing. It'd be dark.
Right.
Eventually, we reached the end of the trail, only to find nothing. Just endless open fields. Annoyed, we checked social media and realized we had taken the wrong path. Trail 2 was the one that actually led to the tunnels. That meant walking all the way back down. Yep. When we reached the starting point again and faced the 3 trails once more, something about Trail 2 felt immediately wrong. I thought the first trail had been dark, but this one was on another level. It was pure blackness, like the trail itself absorbed light. All we had for illumination was our phone flashlight, which barely helped at all. As we hesitantly walked forward, a large sign suddenly came into view: the mushroom tunnels. At this point, I turned to my girlfriend and straight up asked if she wanted to leave. The energy here was unbearable, and for the first time, I seriously considered turning back. But then I had a moment of clarity. I had been waiting for this night for months. I was finally here. I had to at least step inside. So I turned back towards the tunnel and walked a little bit closer. That's when my girlfriend suddenly said, "That's the tunnel right there." I followed her gaze. I saw it, and I ran. I can't explain what I saw. It's like my eyes registered something, but my brain refused to process it. The only thing I knew in that moment was that I needed to get the hell out of there. My girlfriend caught up to me, her face pale. She swore she saw a figure standing in the middle of the tunnel, staring directly at us. I'll never truly know what it was that I saw too, but whatever it was, my body reacted before my mind could catch up. But that wasn't even the scariest part. After sprinting back to the car, we jumped in, locked the doors, and turned on the ignition. I went to connect my phone to Bluetooth. And then the most gut-wrenching, horrific sound blasted from the speakers. I can't even describe it properly. It was low, distorted, and deeply unsettling. My girlfriend immediately felt sick and begged me to turn it off, but I knew I had to capture it. I recorded as much as I could before finally shutting it down. I wish I could post it here, but the sub doesn't allow videos. If you're curious, DM me, I'll send you the clip. And that's the end of our story. But something tells me the place isn't done with us yet. So I will say, I do have the video.
Okay.
I found the video. The guy said it doesn't sound as scary on the actual recording as it does in person, because he said in person you could hear what sounded like voices in the background, like screamings and stuff like that. But it is like it's a very weird like mashup of a whole bunch of music in one video. So we can pop that in. We'll edit it in. That way you guys can watch it, say what you think about it. And then also some photos of the actual tunnel. The fact that he was running away before his brain could truly process what was going on, like that's your body like instinctively knowing that something's wrong.
That's crazy.
Yeah, let me show you what the mushroom tunnels look like.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, before I even look at what she's about to show me, when she said mushroom tunnels, my brain envisions, like, and I know this isn't possible, the mushrooms from, ooh, that's pretty though.
Yeah, and it's a very pretty area, and it's supposedly, the mushroom tunnel, formerly known as the Red Bank Range Railway Tunnel, is historically significant as the first railway tunnel used by the NSW railways. So...
See, I was envisioning like Minecraft style, like mushrooms.
Honestly, that's what I was thinking too until I started like reading it and then looking it up, and I was just like, wait. But yeah, apparently it was used for railways. It has like really nice stone masonry, the design of the 1800s.
And this is in Australia?
Yep. It's evidence of the Great Southern Railway during World War II. I'm hunting rabbits. World War II.
Catch
Good gosh.
me.
W's and R's are really hard for me to say. And then it was used...
bottle of water?
Bottle of water. But, yeah, and then it was used for storage and... Oh, it was used to commercially grow mushrooms. That's why it's called the mushroom tunnel.
Ah, hash brown.
Yeah, it's just been rumored by many locals to experience paranormal activity. Yeah, but... It's pretty interesting, and I really thought it was really cool since it's an actual place.
Yeah.
I was like, mushroom tunnels? What was
that?
that?
As soon as you said the title, I was like, oh, I have to say yes to reading mushroom tunnels because you love mushrooms.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I'm going to have to find it again and show you, but the website I was looking at has a mushroom dress, and it was very pretty, and it just screamed you.
I need it now. I need it in my life.
So since you talked about the mushroom tunnels, I'm going to read my next one, which is titled The Caver. And this is also
it's giving
one...
Descent.
Yes. Oh, we need to rewatch those movies.
Yes, we do.
This is another one I found. That is a supposed real experience.
Okay.
I have had several dreams similar to what I'm posting about. I have been a caver in Florida for about 13 years, since I was about 6 years old. And I have been to a lot of caves. Never been afraid before this one. When I was about 7 or 8, I started
Sorry. Sorry. I was like post choking on my drink. I'm good.
You good?
Yep.
Okay.
We're Gucci.
That's unfortunate.
You gonna do this podcast by yourself? That's unfortunate that I'm good? That I'm Gucci? Is that what you meant?
I was just saying it because I say it all the time.
Damn.
I also...
Oh. I got you. Not a good time to say it.
I also apparently said that she was beautiful yesterday, and I didn't.
It was rude.
I did not mean to. I was showing a picture of a photo shoot that we had done, and I said, look how beautiful this girl was.
I didn't even know you were talking about me, and neither did Will. And she turns around and she shows her coworker a photo of me from like the last photo shoot we ever really did with me. And she turns it and she shows it to me. I'm like, bitch, was? I'm like, what do you mean
I
was?
didn't put two and two together. I just spoke, okay?
I mean, you're not wrong, though. But.
Shut up. Okay, listen. I will...
Listen, Linda.
Because fucking... My coworker, again, our coworker, had mentioned something to me yesterday, and he was like, if I wasn't so big, and I said, boy, shut up. My left tit is bigger than you.
Like, Will, because we know you're watching.
Like, I will punch you in the face, bruh.
Anyway. Get a Ben and Jerry, bruh. Ben and Jerry.
You want one scoop or two?
We need to make a hoodie with that, too. Really like, 2 fists and say Ben and Jerry.
Honestly.
Well, especially with all of the politics and stuff going on now, and Ben and Jerry, like, backs everybody. We knew before we knew.
We did. Your dad said all
we could profit off of that.
Yeah.
We could make Ben and Jerry sweatshirts. Follow the signs. Anyway. Sorry, that was like a way sidetrack.
We just went total. Anyway, when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I started to have this reoccurring dream. I would have it at least twice a year, always the same, even though I would realize I was dreaming after the first few iterations. I would fall asleep and dream of being in a cave and going into this little hole in the bottom. Inside, I would see a 10 to 15 foot long corridor, about 2 to 4 feet high. At the end, it would always turn left, and I saw a bent red stop sign at the end, like someone had ripped off the top and tossed it 2 feet away. I would always follow the corridor. I would turn and walk past the sign despite being scared, despite many times knowing what was in there, and the corridor would start descending, quickly opening into a large vertical chamber with a path leading down in a corkscrew.
No. I already have claustrophobia.
Everything became blurry at this point, but it was always the same. I saw trash scattered on the walls. I saw the pit leading down to the curved floor. I saw things undefined, animals or people or something else at the bottom. And I saw my family, with each one of those things, being tortured and killed. Each time, and I could never do anything about it.
Oh, God.
After that, I would be stuck for a few seconds until I felt more than I saw. After that, I would be stuck for a few seconds until I felt more and saw everything turn and look at me. And I would then wake up.
Oh, God.
Not like a normal dream where you just drift to consciousness, or a nightmare where you bolt up in fear, but like something would push me out of it. Like I wasn't supposed to be there. So I have this dream multiple times a year until I turn 15. I did tell a friend about the dream before what happens next. My father decided to take us to some caves we had never been to before.
Oh, God. In real life?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
One of which was Dog Drop. It was likely named that because someone either threw their pet in there or a coyote had fallen and the body was later discovered.
Either way, I feel bad. I really hope it was a coyote, not someone being an asshole towards their dog.
Yeah. Dog Drop had a roughly 30-foot rappel down to enter. I went down with my brother while my father waited up at the top. There was a hole in the ground. I started to feel uneasy, though I didn't know why. So I followed my brother into the hole. I felt worse and worse as I moved down. And then when I looked up, I saw the same corridor.
Oh, shit.
The same turn.
Oh, no.
The same wall. The same bottles at the corner. And I was instantly hit with this overwhelming sense of nausea, fear, and being watched. Everything was screaming at me to leave.
Yeah.
I froze and must have made some sort of noise because my brother turned around and asked what was wrong. I managed to say that I wanted to leave now and climbed out as quickly as I could, followed immediately by my brother. We packed up and left, and I've never gone back, and I never will. I haven't told anyone what actually happened, just said I wasn't feeling well, and they forgot about it pretty quickly. The thing that really makes it creepy for me is I never had the dream again. Year after year, I would have it consistently, but stopped after that. I still remember it all, and I still feel afraid. Almost an external fear when I think of it.
So they kept having the dream until they actually found the place.
Yep.
But it's not like they went searching for the place. It's just like the dad just randomly like one day like, hey, let's go to these caves. Mm-hmm. And it just happens to be the cave that they were dreaming about.
For the record, if you are interested in caves, never go into an uncharted cave and never go by yourself or without people who aren't going that know.
What she said. Also, if you haven't watched it before, which I believe most people know what it is and have seen it, The Descent. And there's a Descent 2.
Yeah. Have you seen the second one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They're very, very good. Would recommend. But that's also why caves, I don't know.
Do you know what's really crazy?
That's like whenever Will was telling me that him and his buddies used to go cave exploring. Like, kudos to freaking you.
Well, what's crazy is we went into a cave when we went to Eureka Springs. And that had, because we had watched the movie like for the first time recently before we had gone, and they had a spot where you couldn't go down anymore because people were hurting themselves going down it, and all I saw was The Descent. But what's really crazy about that movie is, do you remember when we all had a slumber party at my on my birthday?
Yeah. Is that what we were watching?
So we had a whole bunch of movies because I remember distinctly we had to pick movies that didn't have a chance of actually being real that were scary. It was one of the rules.
Although
and we picked up that movie, we put it in, and I remember us being bored.
Yeah.
And being like, this movie sucks, and turning it off and switching to something else.
Wow.
And then we find it years later and are obsessed with it.
Yeah. It just reminds me because I eventually want to do an episode. I'll have to ask Will what cave system it was, but it's somewhere where he grew up. But the cave system supposedly like way down underneath has like this community of people.
Yeah, I would really like to do some research on that.
Theoretically, I would like to go explore caves, but then also me, being me, I'm just like, let me in them caves. Ooh. I want to get out of the cave.
We should do a ChatGPT story, but make it of us going cave exploring.
Oh my God. We should just find all the stories about caves.
We can do an episode totally on cave systems.
Caves.
Caves and coves.
Kudos to the people that could actually go exploring in caves and stuff. That's not like a public, like...
Yeah, like Onyx Caves in Eureka Spring. That's a public experience, self-guided tour kind of thing.
Like made for the public to go check it out. But like all these other people that just go and explore abandoned caves.
I would love to do it. I'm just too top heavy. Because they be some tight places.
If you get stuck in some of those spots, like your ass is stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Good God. Okay. So, I think I'm going to do Good Boy.
In which my cat is not being right now.
Hey, you need to be a good boy. Yeah, the title of this one really intrigued me. Good Boy.
I bet it did.
Shut up. So, it says, I'm really scared that something bad will happen today. For the last month, the thing I've named Good Boy has been coming into my garden every weekday. It was January 26th, a cold morning, when I first saw it. It was scruffy. I could see sore patches of skin where the hair had fallen out, yet I felt like I was looking at an old family friend, like being shown a faded photograph of relatives who died before you were born, yet somehow you felt a connection you can't quite explain. I'm terrified of dogs. When I was little, a friend got bitten while we were out playing. It bled a lot, though I think I remember more blood than there actually was, but they needed stitches, and since then I've been afraid. I usually avoid all dogs, big or small, but Good Boy was different. He was kind. I think he came because I was lonely. He knew I needed someone I didn't have, a friend. Someone to fill the void left by my parents who were never around, and when they were constantly checking emails or on the phone with some higher-ups for work. Good Boy was the friend I needed, a distraction from the emptiness. Until yesterday. I looked forward to seeing him. He changed his appearance every day. Once he came with legs so long, I could see him over the garden gate, tall and stretched, like a cartoon character. Other times, he was completely hairless, his fingers dragging along the ground behind him, like a trail of snakes. And that was fine. He was harmless. Good Boy was being a good boy. But yesterday was different. He came into the garden, but he moved with a coldness. He looked more human, if that's the right way to describe it. He stood up on his hind legs. He was tall, like a large man. Then he reached up to his face and parted his lips with long, crooked fingers that looked like they had been badly damaged. He pried his mouth open, and a large, gum-filled void stared back at me. It felt like he was mocking me. I didn't know what to do. My body was telling me to run, but I froze. I didn't want to turn my back on him. I didn't want to break eye contact. I felt like he wanted to hurt me. His eyes saw me as prey. Those blank, shiny eyes. He had never opened his mouth before. I wanted to call him a bad boy, but I didn't want to die. Not like that. In that toothless mouth.
Sorry. I can hear.
He stood there, holding that awful, gaping expression, watching me. Then slowly he sat back down, his face seeming more and more human, more like a stranger. And then he spoke. Thank you for letting me into your life. Now come with me to mine. He stood up again and walked out of the garden, his body contouring slightly, just enough to be wrong, and I felt sick. He stood up again. Right now, I'm hiding in my house. It's almost 6 p.m. I don't know what's going to happen, but he's dangerous. I know it. I know today will be bad, really bad. I think he wants me dead. I want to believe I'm going crazy, that Good Boy was never real. It was just my imagination, wasn't it? Just my imagination? Good Boy never really came into my garden, did he? I'm crazy, right? Please tell me I'm crazy. Please.
The
way that the thing morphs every single day. It's the way he described it was like things that would be out of a scary movie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Long fingers dragging.
Well, because like I could just see it like off in the distance, just kind of sitting there, not really menacingly, but just there, and so you get used to it. And then all of a sudden, when you're comfortable, it shows it's
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh, interesting.
No.
Okay.
This one is called Bridge of Death.
Oh.
And I'm curious to see if you catch on.
Okay.
Because as soon as I read this, I immediately knew what this was referring to.
Okay.
What this was. It's a little short story, very short. But it is real.
Oh shit. Okay.
The Bridge of Death. Snow drifted lazily through the air, soft and weightless, catching the glow of the streetlights. A handful of children chased each other along the bridge, their laughter ringing over the silent city. A young couple stood near the railing, their breath misting in the cool April air. The husband had his arms wrapped around his wife's belly, and their unborn child nestled between them. "We're lucky," he murmured against her ear. She smiled, resting a hand over his. "We are." From here, the skyline stretched before them, the heart of the city glowing against the night. But all eyes were on the plant. Reactor 4 was burning.
Oh, shit.
The fire shimmered in the distance, eerie and unnatural. Some whispered about an explosion. Others reassured one another. It was nothing, just a fire. The workers had it under control. The air smelled sharp and metallic. Ash clung to their coats, settled in their hair. The husband kissed his wife temple. "Let's go home." A child sneezed, wiping soot from his nose. Another laughed, catching flakes on their tongue. It was not snow.
Oh, no.
It never was.
Oh, shit. Chernobyl?
Mm-hmm. Piprit.
Oh, God.
I changed because it said from here the skyline stretched before them, the heart of Piprit, glowing. But yeah, it's the city of Chernobyl. It's the fire. They thought it was snow. They thought the ash was snow.
Oh, dear God. I thought at first it was going to be like a reference to like London bridges falling down. But then you said the reactor and I was like, oh, shit, it's Chernobyl.
Yep, I saw that and I was like, oop.
Oh, no. Just that not be mine.
That'd be mine to read.
Thank you.
I have an insane fascination with Chernobyl. That's
we
another
should do
one.
an episode on Chernobyl.
Yeah.
I don't know why we haven't thought about that.
I don't know. I literally have a nonfiction book that talks about the stories.
Oh, I was like, what you looking at?
Yeah, no, I have a book called Midnight in Chernobyl where it talks about the stories that people dealt with.
Nice.
Also the HBO Max series Chernobyl. It's pretty.
There's a microphone there.
And now you have Max.
Yeah.
So you need
I'm going to have to watch it. We're going to have to do an episode over Chernobyl now.
So brilliant.
You're going to be talking majority of the time, just letting you know.
That's
fine.
like
it's like your thing.
Yeah.
I will make commentary.
Yeah, I
will speak if need be, but I will listen.
There's too much knowledge in here about Chernobyl. And I actually made a website over it. It was one of my.
Is it still active?
Yeah, it was one of my.
I can link that in the episode.
Yeah,
too,
it was a school project. We had to do a digital essay, and I loved this professor. He was my I'm not in school anymore, but my favorite professor. It was my nonfiction course, and I struggle with nonfiction like real bad. And he had us do a digital essay, and so I picked Chernobyl.
Yeah.
And at first, he was kind of like, "Are you sure this is what you want to do?" And I was like, "Yes." And so I did it, and
Am I sure?
And I have it bookmarked, and I'm pretty proud of it because we had to link like multimedia, so we had to have photos and videos and audio and a whole bunch of stuff. I'll show it to you later, but
heck yeah.
So that is the Bridge of Death.
That's a good one, though. Even though it was short, it just gives you like the whole eeriness of the whole situation.
Well, because they genuinely thought it was snowing.
That's so sad. That whole situation is so sad. Just imagine, you're living life, and they're like, "Oh, they got it under control. Oh, it's just snow. No, it's
I have to leave my home, but I can come back in 3 days."
Never allowed to come back.
Psych. I hate it.
The only people who stayed were the babushkas.
Yep.
I would love to go visit the babushkas.
I also would love to go visit the babushkas. We need to win the lottery.
To live as a babushka.
Well,
oh,
live, but not in the location.
No. That'd be rough. All right, so my next one is called Whistling in the Walls. I don't know why I'm so drawn to like the whistling.
Yeah.
The whistling
because
stories.
it makes it really like.
It does. It's like eerie.
Mm-hmm.
It started with a whistle, a soft, eerie tune that floated through the walls of my apartment late at night. At first, I chalked it up to the old pipes in my building or a neighbor playing music, but then I started to recognize the melody. It was always the same, a slow, almost playful tune, like a child skipping down an empty road. It came at exactly 2:33 a.m. every night, never a second earlier or later. No matter how much I tried to ignore it, the sound crept under my skin, seeping into my dreams. One night, I decided to catch the culprit. I stayed up, sitting in the dark with my phone in hand, recording. As 2:33 a.m. approached, my heart pounded. The whistling began, soft at first, then growing clearer. It was coming from inside my apartment. I turned on the flashlight. The sound cut off instantly. Silence pressed against me like a heavy blanket. I searched every corner, closets, under the bed, even inside the vents. Nothing. But I wasn't alone. As I turned off the light, something moved in the darkness. A faint scraping sound, like fingernails against wood. My breath hitched. I slowly reached for the light switch, but before I could flick it on, I heard something that turned my blood to ice. A whisper right next to my ear. "You found me." I screamed and bolted for the door, but as soon as I stepped into the hallway, the world around me felt wrong. My apartment door had no number. The hallway stretched endlessly in both directions. The air was thick, humid, and carried the scent of earth, as if I had been buried alive. Then I heard the whistling again. Not behind me, not inside the walls. This time it was coming from my own lips. I tried to stop, but my mouth moved on its own, forcing out the slow, skipping tune. My hands shook as I reached up, feeling my face, only to realize my lips were gone. The skin was smooth where my mouth should be. The whistling grew louder, coming from nowhere and everywhere. A voice whispered in my ear, again, playful and mocking. "Now it's your turn to hide." The lights flickered. The walls started to close in, and then nothing. If you ever hear a whistle in your walls at 2:33 a.m., don't look for the source. Don't acknowledge it, and whatever you do, don't let it find you, because once it does, you'll never whistle again. Spoopy.
So what made it worse for me is since we're using these headphones,
You can hear
I heard you whistle. So when you said
whispering.
Yeah, when you, what was it? No, it was the other one. Now it's your turn to
Now it's your turn to hide.
It was right in my ear. I'm like
I like the stories where there's the whispering because I like to be creepy.
You would be a really good storyteller. Maybe we should segue to storytellings. Like do some storytellings.
We could do that. I'd be down for that. That's why I like the Reddit stories because they're, first of all, we don't have to write them. We just have to find them, and then I like reading them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's a really good one. I liked that one.
I couldn't just imagine like your lips were gone.
I literally got chills. So my last one.
Excuse me.
I'm trying to make sure this is okay. Yeah. So this one is called, I titled it because it didn't really have a title. This is another one where it's like a real creepy experience.
Yeah.
I titled it The Strange Man. However, it could probably be called Poker Face because that comes into play a little bit later.
Okay.
I had awesome parents who let me sleep in the living room on weekend nights when I was very young because my sister was a light sleeper and I could stay up till dawn. But of course, I always ended up sleeping on the couch because Nick at Night made me tired. So one night, I wake up to the prickly feeling, like an instinct, just bolted into a sitting position and stared out the front window. We lived in rural Georgia, so you can imagine the magnitude of trees.
Oh, God. It gives me my parents' house.
Yeah. In perfect light cast from the moon, I seen a silhouette of someone in this tree. The family dog dashes to the window and is snarling into the glass. Terrified, I run into my parents' room and try to explain to my parents that there is a strange person outside. Dad grabs something defensive and darts outside with the dogs to beat the wax off of this hothead. I tremble in Mama's arms until Dad comes home and says he saw no one and to go back to bed. I decide to sleep in my regular bedroom this time. Ooh. I fill my sister in as to what's happened. Dad is making regular rounds in the house with a cup of coffee. We're all still, and I finally think, I can sleep. Nope. I notice a man outside my window. From what I can see in the moonlight, he just gives me the shush signal and runs away. Just turns around and runs in a straight line. I swear I couldn't stop crying for what felt like hours.
Okay. So this one's called The Thing Wearing My Mother's Face Tried to Kill Me Again. What are you going to try this time? And why the hell do you keep taking the faces of people I know? The first time my mother tried to kill me in a dream, I was 5 or 6 years old. At that age, the fear was different. Maybe I'll tell the story some other time, but now it feels like the older I get, the closer it gets to breaking free, to stepping out of my dreams and into reality. I really hope someone else has experienced something similar or I'm losing my mind, because this was terrifying. It started as a normal dream, just another wandering, shifting landscape of the subconsciousness. But at some point, it became semi-lucid. This was the moment I remember everything clearly. I was in my apartment. It looked a little off, but that's typical for dreams, right? No big deal. I was getting ready to leave, shoes on, hand on the door, about to step out. And then my mother appeared in the doorway. She looked at me and said she really needed my help. Instantly, a sharp wave of panic hit me. There was no reason for it. It came out of nowhere, but it was there. She asked me to help her prepare lunch, to peel and cut some potatoes. All right, fine, no problem. I sat down, knife in hand, peeling, and with every breath I took, the fear grew stronger, heavier. It didn't make sense. There was no danger, and yet something inside me screamed that I needed to wake up. Right now. I squeezed my eyes shut and tried to force myself awake. Nothing. I looked up. My mother was staring at me. Not at me, but through me. Her expression had changed. Something wasn't right. I shut my eyes again, tighter this time. Nothing. When I opened them, she had stopped peeling. She just sat there, watching. And then, that smile, slow, wide, and wrong. I know what you're trying to do, she whispered. It won't work. And then she lunged at me. I forced my eyes shut so hard I thought my skull would crack, and I woke up, screaming. You think that was the worst part? Not even close. Because as I sat there shaking, gasping for breath, I felt it. A lingering phantom pain on my arm, right where she grabbed me. A sensation like a fading imprint, like something had actually touched me, and I could still feel the echo of it. No, I wasn't sleeping on my side. No, my arm wasn't numb. I was flat on my back. And that feeling, it stayed for a good 10, maybe 20 minutes before finally fading. I still don't know what the heck that was. But there's one thing I know for sure. This isn't just a dream. Or rather, it's not only a dream. The thing that moves through them, no matter how old I am or what I see, it's not from this world. And it's not alone. There's 2 of them. And for over 25 years, they've been following me, drifting between worlds, slipping through dreams. I don't know when they're finally going to catch up to me, but I just hope I have the courage to face them when I do. It's giving me Other Mother from Coraline.
Yeah.
That's immediately what I thought whenever I read that. But the fact of like, I know what you're trying to do. It won't work. Other Mother. Ugh. And when they woke up, they could still feel where the mother had grabbed them on the arm. Like it was real.
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
No.
That's like with the Annabelle story. The guy literally woke up and felt like he had been strangled by the doll.
Didn't he have marks on him? Yeah. Well, he also, wasn't he also scratched too?
Yeah.
Was that in a dream or was that in real life?
When he went to go pick up the doll because he thought somebody was breaking in and all of that was there was just Annabelle on the floor. So he went to go pick up the doll and then he had scratch marks on his abdomen that lasted for like 2 days and then went away.
Yep. Ugh.
So my final one is called Poker Face. This happened in California. It was around 2 a.m. I was at a friend's house, safe in a warm, sheltered suburbia area. We were having a lot to drink, chit-chatting and enjoying ourselves. Of course, when you're having fun, time hits the fast forward button and those few minutes turn into an hour. Yeah. I had too much to drink. My friend has a bit of an abrupt bedtime, so I had to dodge out early, still intoxicated. I felt too ashamed, thinking I'd be asking too much to stay in his house to sleep off the drunkenness. I suppose he was either too rude or too drunk to consider it himself anyway. Whatever.
Probably both.
Yeah. Sometimes a little inconvenience makes you appreciate everything else. Like a cat who won't stop messing with the blinds.
I'm just thinking about it. I'm not actually going to do it, girl. Just thinking about it.
I needed about another hour or so to sober up enough to drive back. As fast as time passed during my stay, it drastically decided to slow down as soon as I stepped out of his house. It was a cul-de-sac area, a concrete jungle with the stem of the street breaking into a fork. Alongside the road, my car was parked. The only streetlight that worked was in the middle of the cul-de-sac circle, about 80 yards away. I stumbled to my car, produced my keys, and felt the metal line up. I opened my door and shifted to the back seat, because this was a dark, strange, and unfamiliar neighborhood. I took the leftover newspapers and a sweater in my back seat to cover myself up. I was a little scared. I wanted to camouflage myself and not just be some guy awkwardly sitting in his car waiting for time to pass in order to drive home. I couldn't fall asleep. The uncomfortable feeling of a cheap backseat bed enshrouded in darkness didn't make the chance for slumber any easier. It felt too ominous. But kudos to you, of course, for, not driving.
Yeah.
And of course, my mind began to wander. I thought of the worst case scenarios, like how the police would shine their lights on me through the window or a drunk driver hitting my car, and wait. In the distance, about 100 yards away, I could hear footsteps approaching.
Those are loud footsteps.
The gravel scuffed with each step forward, growing in proximity, but periodically taking stops.
Oh.
I wondered why until it made sense in my mind. Whoever it was probably looking through cars carefully with the intent to steal one. I couldn't recall how many cars were on the block, but I counted 3 full stops until he was at my window, breathing.
Oh.
I froze. There was no more than 1 foot between us. The car encapsulated me as I lay hidden beneath the back seat clutter, forming myself into an object, trying my hardest to be unnoticeable, unmoving, and I simply wasn't there. I see you.
Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about now.
Yeah. Said a... I was just waiting because I knew I had one. Said a 40-plus-year-old man in a perverse baby talk.
Oh. Ew. I see you.
Imagine when you're playing hide and seek and one of your friends tricks you into coming out. He said it in that tone of voice as if he was baiting me, like he was questioning whether the clutter in the backseat was just clutter or a person. I didn't want to move or check the window. I remained clutter.
Same.
Give me an academic award. I dared not to look. My body reacted by minimizing my breath so much that I felt paralyzed. My eyes fixated on the back of the passenger seat, and I didn't blink. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. My heart was pounding so hard it shook my body with each throb. He circles around the car. My ears didn't fail me. I heard the steps. It felt like I was a part of the car. I could feel him touching the trunk as he carefully pressed down on it, as if to test the alarm, as if to test me.
Oh, God.
I was in the middle of fight or flight. I couldn't do either without elevating the danger. I was frozen, and hoping to God he was just bluffing. He circled the car again. The door handle to my right jiggled. He was pulling it multiple times. I see you. Same tone, but more agitated and stressed, more convinced that he was trying to make the clutter move, revealing itself to be his expectations that it was me. My muscles tensed like a cow before slaughter. Tap, tap, tap. That had to be metal against the glass. Take a penny right now and tap a window. Is it a crowbar? A knife? A rock? A gun? My eyes fixated on the seat in front of me, never averting my gaze. I was covered enough to where I couldn't see beyond the seat in front of me. I know I couldn't see him, but I could feel his eyes resting on top of me. My name is Poker Face.
Oh, shit.
What's your name? The voice changed in a lower, demented, and serious tone. My mind forced a visual. It wasn't anything human. I already accepted my death. I was ready to be shot in the head, ready to take a life-exchanging bullet, multiple knife wounds. Just make this sleep bearable, not excruciating as you drain my life from me. I wouldn't know how to react. My thoughts grew dimmer. I imagined my friend waking up the next morning after a calm night of safe and sound sleep, only to discover my mutilated, defiled, and bloodied body hanging outside of my car door. It was then that I heard nothing but my own heart. What was this person doing now? Just staring at me in the middle of the night? Talking to me, or a messy pile in the back seat? Time froze. The footsteps were being swallowed in the distance. Thank God he left. I waited another hour until the sun showed hints of itself. I jumped him in my front seat and bolted out of there, wide-eyed and way sober.
Oh. So not only was that just creepy in general from being like the voice and like what they're saying and the touching of the car, but then it's just like, because it could be something paranormal, but then it also could be like an actual person. Like, I know you're in there. I could kill you if I wanted to. I'm just going to scare the shit out of you. Oh my God.
Just imagine you're just...
I'd have pooped myself.
Oh yeah, no, I'd have... I'm sure I would be shaking. I'm sure I would be crying.
Yeah.
I'm sure I would have peed, pooped. I'm sure there would be throw up.
I'm just sitting here like dazed out, just like imagining in my brain, just like the whole, it was like playing like a movie in my brain. I'm just like, oh
like you have options. Sit still and hope he doesn't break in, or move and hope that you can move fast enough to where he can't get you.
See, that's the thing though, is like it started off as him not being able to see him at all. So I don't know if I would really want to move to be able to even see what it is. And then imagine uncovering yourself and nothing's there.
I think that would make it worse for me.
Yeah.
Because at least if it's somebody playing a joke or actually trying to hurt you, there's a logical explanation there. But beyond that, if nobody was there. Yeah, because he was trying to pull open the door. Oh, God. Because he said he like popped the door multiple times and said, "I see you."
Heck no.
But like, if something wasn't there, is it your drunk mind playing tricks on you? Is it the dark playing tricks on you? Is it actual paranormal encounter?
Yeah, there's so many things that it could be. Regardless, it's freaking terrifying.
Oh no, I could not imagine trying to sober up and then hearing, "I see you. You don't like that, do you?"
No, I don't.
It's weird, isn't it?
It was like the abrupt, like, see you. Ugh. I love the headphones, but at the same time, I'm like, ew. Yeah. It makes it creepy for something like that.
So,
but I feel like it adds like another factor.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially for us, because we can really kind of gravitate and get immersed. Ooh.
I got one more. This one's a little bit of a longer one.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. It's called One Rule. Don't go into the basement.
I don't have a basement, thankfully, so no problems there.
Yeah. All right. It was supposed to be the perfect weekend getaway. 5 friends, a scheduled cabin in the woods, and no self-service.
This never goes well.
Right? And no self-service for miles. Just us, nature, and a cooler full of beer. We've been planning this trip for months, ever since Jake found the listing online. Black Hollow Cabin, he said, grinning like a kid on Christmas. Totally off the grid, no tourists, no noise, no nothing. Just us. The drive was long, the kind of long where the trees start to look like they're closing in on you. The GPS had stopped working about an hour ago, and we were relying on Jake's printed directions. The road narrowed, the pavement giving way to gravel, then dirt. The sun was setting by the time we pulled up to the cabin, its orange glow casting long shadows through the trees. The cabin itself was unsettling. It wasn't the rustic, charming kind of cabin you would see in the movies. It was old, the wood warped, and dark, like it had been soaked in something. The windows were small and clouded, and the front door hung slightly crooked on its hinges. There was a smell, too, faint but persistent, like wet earth and something metallic. First of all...
That's giving bloody.
I don't understand how someone lists this cabin, first of all. It sounds like it's just completely abandoned.
It could be. Also, I can give you 3 movies right now that tell you that going into a cabin in the woods with your friends is not a good idea.
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods, Evil Dead the remake, and Tarot, actually.
Yeah. Oh, also the wet earth and something metallic. Blood.
Yeah, it was giving me bloody vibes.
Charming, Sarah said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. She was always a skeptic, but the one who rolled her eyes at ghost stories and horror movies. But even she looked uneasy as we unloaded the car. Inside, the cabin was dim and cold. The furniture was sparse, a sagging couch, a rickety table, and a few mismatched chairs. The fireplace was filled with ashes, and the air smelled like mildew. We found the bedrooms upstairs, 2 of them, each with a pair of creaky twin beds. Jake and I took one room. Sarah, Emily, and Mark took the other. That first night we tried to make the best of it. We lit a fire, cracked open some beers, and told stories. But there was something off, something none of us could quite put into words. The firelight flickered in a way that made the shadows dance too much, like they were alive. And the woods outside were too quiet, like they were holding their breath. I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of scratching. It was faint, but persistent, like something was trying to get in. I lay there, my heart pounding, listening. The sound was coming from the window. I told myself it was just a tree branch, but when I looked, there was nothing there, just the black void of the forest. The next morning, we found the first note. It was tucked under the coffee pot, written on a yellowed piece of paper in shaky handwriting. Don't go into the basement. We all laughed it off, and of course, probably just left by the last renters, Mark said, crumbling the note and tossing it into the fire. But I noticed he didn't suggest we check the basement. The day passed uneventfully. We hiked, we drank, we played cards, but as the sun dipped below the trees, the mood shifted. The scratching came back, louder this time, and it wasn't just at my window. It was everywhere. The walls, the floor, the ceiling, like the cabin itself was alive. Then Emily screamed. We found her in the bathroom staring at the mirror. Her reflection was wrong. It was her, but not her. The eyes were too wide, the smile too sharp, and it was moving just slightly out of sync with her. She slammed her hand against the glass, and the reflection did the same, but slower, like it was lagging. We all saw it. None of us could explain it. That night, we decided to leave. We packed up our stuff and headed for the car, but the keys were gone. All of them. Even the spare Jake kept in his backpack. And the car wouldn't even start. The engine didn't even turn over. That's when we heard the voice. It came from the basement, faint but clear. A child's voice singing a nursery rhyme. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies. We stood there, frozen, as the singing grew louder, and then the door to the basement creaked open on its own. I don't know who moved first, but we all ran. Out the door, into the woods, not caring about the dark, or the cold, or the branches clawing at our faces. We ran until we couldn't run anymore, until we were lost and the cabin was nowhere in sight. We found a road eventually, and a passing truck driver gave us a ride to the nearest town. The police went back to the cabin, but they didn't find anything. No notes, no scratches, no singing. Just an empty, rotting cabin in the middle of the woods. We never talked about what happened. Not really, but sometimes late at night I hear the scratching, and I know it's not coming from outside. It's coming from inside me. And the worst part, I think it's always been there. My palms are sweaty.
Also, very kudos to them for not going into the fucking basement. Because that is horror movie 101. Don't go into the basement. Hell, let's go into the basement.
Horror movie 101. Don't stay in an old abandoned cabin in the middle of the woods.
Too.
Jesus.
And always check your back seat.
Yeah. No.
Also, I wish it said if they found the car.
Yeah, I don't know. Someone says you brought home an entity.
No.
I wonder if Black Hollow Cabin's actually real.
I don't know.
Someone says it's 2025. Y'all should have known better. Oh my gosh. Oh, this was written a day ago.
Wow.
This was like new. Yeah, no. I'd have flipped shit if I saw my reflection. That's actually a fear of mine. Is like seeing my reflection do something in the mirror that I'm not doing. Like I don't tend to look at myself long enough in the mirror. I just don't.
No, I mirrors give me the creeps.
They really do. Well, because they're considered portals.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. What's that? The black mirror?
Talking about like scrying mirrors?
No, there's a movie. What is it? The Oculus? Oculus. That's about the mirror, right? Oh my God. That's a trippy movie.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a hot minute though. I'm gonna need to rewatch.
It's good, but it's very freaking trippy.
Also,
if you haven't watched it, I'd recommend if you like the whole horror movies.
In the Evil Dead remake, they have an instance where one of the girls is in the bathroom and looking at the mirror, and she literally, I think she like breaks the glass and takes it and like claws, like cuts her mouth.
Oh my God. No.
Yeah.
No. That would be the worst thing, is like having something paranormal making you do something to hurt yourself.
And knowing that you're doing it, but you can't stop yourself. That has to be so scary.
Oh my God.
Like, one of my favorite ways that they talk about, like, possession in Supernatural is that, like, you're there, but you're not really there.
It's and like so you're trapped in like
you can't do anything. Oh, and that's another, that made me think about it. So One Dark Window, the book behind you, that's kind of how they describe the main character's like connection with the thing that she's got going on.
Yeah.
Is that it's almost like stuck within her watching.
Is that the one with the tarot cards?
It's not tarot cards specifically, but yeah. And then if there's ever a book that I would recommend to you out of all of the books, it's those two. It is those two because they are brilliant. Like, they have quickly become top favorite. I would put it above the Labyrinth novelization, which you know is a big thing for me.
Rachel Gillig.
Mm-hmm.
One Dark Window.
And that's the first one. And then Two Twisted Crowns is the second one. Oh, they are so good. Beautiful.
I remember her telling me about these, and these are actually 2 books that I would love to read.
Like,
I gotta read my other 4 books that I'm in the middle of first. But with her describing this, One Dark Window, that one was a very it sounds really, really good.
I am one of those people that I have to like really be sucked into the first few chapters for me to actually read something. And the first book gripped me so quickly. I devoured both books, I think, in less than 24 hours.
Damn.
Because I was hooked, because they're on Libby and they're on...
Did you read them on Libby and then just get the paperbacks?
I read them on Kindle, but then I was like, I need the paperbacks because I want to reread those to me are the Southerners Book Club for you.
Yeah. I really feel like at the end of each episode, we should do a book recommendation.
We totally can. Yeah.
So that's the book recommendation for this one.
The book recommendation of the episode is One Dark Window. I actually really like that idea.
Yeah. Because now that I just pulled it out, I'm like, we literally have multiple books that we could just recommend. Just find one that kind of corresponds with what's going on.
Yeah. Well, technically they got 2 then for nonfiction purpose with Midnight and Chernobyl. Well, that could be the Chernobyl episode.
Yeah. Well, that's more of a... That's nonfiction though, right?
Yeah. But just because it's nonfiction doesn't mean you can't...
Nonfiction mean it's real. Okay. I'm learning. I'm doing a learning.
Oh, I can't wait to clip that in. Make a.
Shut the fuck up.
Nonfiction's real, right?
Shut up. It's weird because it's like it would be nonfiction. In my brain, I would think that it's not real because nonfiction, but then fiction means not real.
Yeah.
So non-fiction. Okay.
That's okay.
I'm doing me a learning.
You doing a learned. That's another thing we're going to have to make into something. Doing a learned.
Okay. So.
Do we want to end this episode before you start making lists?
Yeah, probably. So, thanks for tuning in and watching this episode.
Be sure to follow us on Spotify.
Yes.
Follow us on YouTube. We do have Instagram. Most of our handles currently are at IJHpod. That's where you can find us.
Yes. Also, please, anybody listening, if you have any sort of paranormal, spooky stories, whatever it may be.
Any favorite Reddit stories.
Yeah. Or favorite Reddit stories, or even we want to still do some more ChatGPT story episodes. And if you
book
have
recommendations.
Prompts, literally anything. We just want to hear from you guys.
We just want friends.
Please. Send it to our email at
iajh.social@gmail.com.
She's got the brain cell today. Thank you.
It's there, kind of.
We'll pop it up so that way you know, or in the description down below.
So until next time, stay spooky.
Stay curious.
And remember, we're just here.
Hell yeah.